Welcome to another episode of the Nintendo Powercast. I'm your host, N64 Josh. For this Nintendo News Minute, before we jump into the news, I just want to let you know that if you're thinking about getting into the content creation game or stepping up the gear that you currently have with your content creation, head on over to n64josh.com/Elgato and make sure to use code ZZ-N64Josh at checkout to save a little bit of cash. All of the lighting, the mic arm, pretty much everything. I'm changing scenes with the Elgato pedal. Everything's Elgato. So if you want to step up your game, like I said, head on over to n64josh.com/Elgato. And with that, let's jump into the news. The Minecraft movie gets its first teaser trailer, and yeah, this has been interesting. We're looking at mynintendonews.com, and it says Warner Brothers has finally provided a teaser for the upcoming live-action Minecraft movie, officially titled A Minecraft Movie. And it currently sits at #1 trending on YouTube and has generated much discussion, with the negative drowning out the positive. And so, what do you think? What do you think of this trailer? I'm going to go ahead and just let it play in the background here, and it is so interesting to me, the direction that they went with this thing. Like, I don't think it was really what I was expecting, honestly. And I think the overall look is pretty cool, but being live action, like, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. Like, I'm optimistic, and I do like that the creatures and everything have the blocky look, but they also look very organic and not just like 8-bit. And I also don't have a problem with Jack Black playing Steve, but a lot of people seem to be pretty annoyed by it. Jason Momoa, his character seems very, very interesting. And so, I don't know. I don't have a ton of like nostalgia and, like a dog in this fight, if you will, when it comes to Minecraft. I enjoy it very casually. And so I have a feeling this will be probably a pretty fun movie for the younger audience, but I can understand why maybe some hardcore fans aren't super happy with the overall look of it. I'd love to hear from you, whether you're on YouTube or Spotify. You can leave a comment on what you think of the first trailer for Minecraft. But I mean, again, I'm optimistic, but who knows? I mean, video game movies are all over the place. They have been getting better over the years. And, we've seen things like in the Sonic movie where the audience really spoke their mind and they made big changes. And so who knows, that may end up being the case on this one as well, that it's something that ends up getting some modifications. It looks like it's pretty far along. I mean, coming out in April, they'd have to really delay and do a lot of reshoots. And it is just the first trailer, so I'm not super worried. Not super worried. Maybe I should be, but I'm not. So, moving into some Switch 2 news. This is again from My Nintendo News, and it says analysts David Gibson expects September reveal and March release for Switch 2. And we can just jump down to his post on X here, and it says, I think it might be September 18th through the 26th or in early October to avoid the Tokyo Game Show. With he's quoting Chris Dring here. It says, with industry whispers around something Switch 2 related happening this month, I thought I'd remind everybody of the official list of greatest game consoles of all time. And then it just says #1, Nintendo Switch, #2, everyone else. David goes on to say, no one seems to have noticed that the Nintendo assembler Poseidon, I think is how you say it, is spending looks like 2 billion yen on production equipment and 1 billion on automation. FY 325 for its major customer in amusement, Nintendo. I still expect September news and March 2025 release date for the next device. And so, if that is the case, that's kind of where my head has been the whole time, of thinking that this will probably come out before, like, we know we were going to get the announcement before the end of the fiscal year, but my gut feeling has always been that we would actually get the release before the fiscal year, and that Nintendo, it allows Nintendo to ramp up for the holiday. And I think that's the direction that they will probably go. I could be completely wrong, but I feel like with everything, especially with tweets like this, the amount being spent on production equipment and for fiscal year 325 for major customer, it seems like there's a very real possibility that we see the launch in March. And that would follow in the steps of the Switch 1, which it does make sense to me because of how much time they would have to prep for the holidays, getting new games ready and available throughout next year. And we saw, like, Nintendo kind of laid out the playbook on how to launch a new console. Now, keep in mind, the last console that came out, the Switch, was not backwards compatible with the previous system. This one more than likely will be. I think that's what we've been told. And so they have a bit of an advantage here of not only being able to push brand new software, but to continue to push the older software to a potential new audience that maybe didn't experience it before. Are they going to do that just through, backwards compatibility and keeping those old games, maybe moving them into like a player's choice kind of scenario where they can, sell a lot of the first party games for, $30, probably not $30, but, the reason I said 30 is I'm thinking $30 less, because as games like Tears of the Kingdom, $70, we might see more games coming from Nintendo at that $70 price tag. And if that is the case, having those player choice games or players choice games for people that have never played them, it's an opportunity for more sales, more software on the next console. And I think there's a very real possibility we see that happening. They're also going to be, in my gut feeling, is they're going to be doing there's going to be no shortage of software for the first 2 years on the Switch 2. I think as we're seeing the Switch 1, slowly fade out, we're not seeing, the massive push for software that we have seen. And I think a lot of their really big hitters are in the chamber and ready for release when the Switch 2 finally is announced and is launched. So a lot of cool stuff happening on the old Nintendo front. And so there's some more information here too. Let's head up back over to my Nintendo news. We got some more tweets. So the Christopher Dring tweet that we already read, the greatest console of all time, Nintendo Switch, then everyone else. And then Andy Robinson says, seems a bunch of press have heard this, but I still wouldn't bet my house on it. And he's quoting Stealth. Stealth says, Christine says that he has heard industry whispers about something Switch 2 related is happening this month. In my opinion, Switch 2's greatest system, Switch is Nintendo's greatest system ever, and it isn't even close. But I'm ready to move on. And I think a lot of us are in that boat where we're ready for the next iteration. I'm ready for, hopefully closer to like next gen graphics and just to see, I mean, it's not all about graphics, right? That's never the case, especially if you're a Nintendo fan. Gameplay is king. But I am ready to see. I want to see what they can do with Mario Kart. I want to see some maybe some ray tracing and have Nintendo start to dip their toes. I want to see how much they can push Metroid Prime 4. Honestly, I want that to be just just an absolute beauty to behold, you know. And so I'm excited on that front, just to see some of these games get beefier graphics. Not that it's I mean, again, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart, Smash, Odyssey, all these games, Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion is incredible. Is incredible on the Switch, and the amount of immersion that you get in that game from the way Luigi interacts with everything. I mean, and the lighting in that game, everything. There's so much good happening there. So not to count that one out at all, or to say that Switch hasn't done an amazing job in the graphics department as it is. I'm looking forward. One of the things I'm looking forward to is seeing if they can push the limits of the next system to get closer to that next gen look, if you will. So, taking a look here, Mario plus Rabbids and Star Wars Outlaw producer leaves Ubisoft after 16 years, and so. Looking at the tweet here from Christina Nava, it says August 30th, the release day of Star Wars Outlaws, also marked my last day at Ubisoft. I have decided to leave Ubisoft Milan, where I spent 16 incredible years with incredible people, to write a new chapter in my story. A chapter I'm not ready to share yet. Thank you all. So some amazing games in her under her belt there with Rabbids, and Star Wars Outlaws seems to be, I don't know, it just seems to be one of those like controversial titles. Like some people enjoy it, other people want to hate on it for whatever reason, and I haven't played it yet, so I don't know. I don't really have much of an opinion on it, but I did love the first Mario plus Rabbids. I haven't spent much time with the second one, but I thought they were fantastic. And so excited to see what is next for Christina and what her next chapter is. Taking a look here, Zelda Echoes of Wisdom features both normal and hero difficulty settings. The upcoming Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is set to include 2 different difficulty settings from the start of your adventure. You'll be able to change the game's difficulty at any time in the game settings. The 2 modes are normal mode and hero mode. Hero mode will be for more advanced players, and Princess Zelda will take twice the damage and hearts won't drop from enemies. The blurb also says that some accessory effects won't be applied. The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom launches this month for the Nintendo Switch, and was able to play The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom at PAX, and it was so much fun. It was so fresh, and it had, I think the best way of putting it is it felt new and nostalgic. It felt fresh and nostalgic at the same time. The puzzles from the opening scene were great. I had such a good time trying to figure out the puzzles. And so the second time, Nintendo actually walked us to the front of the line and allowed us to play. And we were speedrunning. We were going as fast as we could because all the puzzles we'd already figured out the first time through. And the person watching was like, yo, I have not seen anyone get this far in this game yet. And so I wanted just to see how far I could take it, how far, what all could be explored. And it was really cool. You escape the castle, and then you're out on the beach, and you're learning new echoes along the way, and able just to get, I got into a little town and I explored a well, and then the game ended. That was about as far as I got. So I was able to get into the little town and see, just a little bit of that and some of the other characters that were there. I may have gone into a house, and then after that I jumped down a well and got a chest that was down there, and then the game ended. But it feels like classic Legend of Zelda with a really fun new take with playing what playing as Zelda. Of course, we saw that her sword is going to be something that we can use, the sword and the Hylian shield, but it's more like a mode, and it seems like it's going to be on a timer, similar to like the Master Sword in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. So just a ton of fun there. And it again, I don't know how else to put it other than it just felt so fresh, and really, really excited for everybody to try it. And cannot wait for the end of this month, because I am ready. I am ready to jump back in and lose myself in a Zelda game. So next up, the former Star Fox artist thinks there's still hope for the franchise's return. At Gamescom, Rhiannon Bevan from The Gamer got in some words with none other than Takuya Imura. I hate butchering these names. A key character designer for the Star Fox and F-Zero. In the interview, they went over two dormant franchises and whether or not a revival for either or both could be on the horizon. Luckily for Star Fox fans, Imura believes that out of the two, Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of both franchises, has got the strongest feelings for Star Fox rather than F-Zero. He then suggested that because of Miyamoto's love for Star Fox series, that we'll see another game, film, or some kind of new development with the IP at some point, but I don't know when or what. And on his behalf, Imura has already told Miyamoto to please give me a call for when and if a Star Fox movie gets greenlit. On that note, Imura also spoke about the merit of adapting games into film. And it says if you create a great game on a certain game platform or medium, for example, F-Zero on the Super Nintendo, once that hardware platform is gone, then the IP itself ceases to be accessible. But if you create a film, then that's accessible through the ages. As for F-Zero, the artist who brought Captain Falcon to life hinted that Miyamoto would need a good reason or a new spin on the series to prioritize it over new games and new projects. This, of course, tracks with what we know of Nintendo's MO. In a 2022 interview with Ventura Beat, former Nintendo of America president Reggie Fils-Aimé suggested the same as Imura did, saying that at least during my tenure, Nintendo developers were always experimenting with different gameplay styles, always thinking about where a unique experience could be applied back, either to an existing franchise or maybe creating a new franchise. My bet is that somewhere in the Kyoto development centers, some developer is playing around with the idea of what might be applied to F-Zero. Never a situation, at least in my experience, where the company makes a conscious decision not to continue supporting XYZ franchise. Historically, it just hasn't worked that way. Not when I was there. Beyond that, Imura talked about AI briefly, saying, it's human nature to want to see the face of the person behind the creative vision. So I think AI can be used, but I think at the end of the day, there's going to be somebody behind that or creating something alongside, because without that, there's no connection between the audience and the artist. And that's very well put. Very, very well put. It says, and finally, he talked about some of his own creativity and brushing up on his upcoming game, Omega 6, The Triangle Stars. As a creative person, I want to work on things I want to work on. And just keep creating. Omega 6 has been born in a time when it is actually really difficult to kick off a new IP, so I'm really thankful to everybody who's been involved. Fans of Imura's previous work may want to keep an eye out for Omega 6, which, despite not having a definitive release date for Switch, seems poised to deliver some of the charm that defined Star Fox and F-Zero during his time at Nintendo. So, definitely going to keep my eye out for Omega 6. Very curious on what that game is. Want to dive in a little bit more and find out about that one, because both F-Zero and Star Fox are beloved games for me. Like, especially the later the 64 versions of both the games were amazing. and I don't think I spent enough time with the GameCube versions of Star Fox, but the GameCube version of F-Zero, so great, like so great. And I remember taking my memory card to the arcade and playing the arcade version of F-Zero alongside with my save file on the GameCube. So lots of cool stuff there. And it looks like we got a little bit more from maybe from this interview here. It says Star Fox and F-Zero designer praises really kind, hardworking Shigeru Miyamoto. Yeah, so Takuya Aimura is best known for his work on F-Zero, like we talked about. And it says, let's see. He said that he was most proud to work under Shigeru Miyamoto-san for so long, and that, generally speaking, he is really kind and a hardworking person. But when it comes to game design, he does not accept compromise. So my impression was, this is what it takes to be number one at anything in the world. And I love that. And I think we all get to reap the rewards of Miyamoto's his unwillingness to accept compromise, because we get to play some of the best games that have ever been created. And I love that. I love that. It goes, I mean, again, we're pushing 40 years of playing Mario, right? And so just so much fun has been had through the years. And is every game a success? No. And does he take risks and sometimes they don't pan out? Absolutely. But the ones that have panned out, they've really delivered. You know, when it comes to games, like I think about like Mario Odyssey, like it's such a huge smile on my face the entire time I played through that game, and especially the very end. Like it was such a joy to be able to play through the final parts of that story, and just with a massive grin on my face. So love that. Moving on over to Nintendo Life, says Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. Dev reveals Nintendo partnership was years in the making, and it was an incredible experience. So here's taken just directly from the interview here. It says Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp was something that started because we'd been talking to Nintendo for many, many years. I think it might have been something to the tune of 7 or 8 years, where every E3, rest in peace, the Electronic Entertainment Expo, by the way, we would make it a point to meet with Nintendo and just chat with them and talk about potential things we might be able to do together. Every year, we'd come with a new proposal to delight, entertain, and impress them. And we'd make sure that the meeting was always something where we'd have a lot of fun together. They'd associate us with having a great time, laughing and chatting about games, and just appreciating games as the art form that it is. After many years of this sort of interaction with Nintendo, they came to really look forward to the Way Forward meeting, as they put it. And we would keep that going and bring something interesting for them, just building a really genuine connection. They're such awesome people, and they have such a passion for games, and you can just feel it talking to them. We were able to meet them in that passion because at Way Forward, we love games too. You do what you love, right? It was just really a good match and a good fit for us to do something together. And so when the opportunity came around, when they were thinking about creating something like Advance Wars and bringing that back, they thought, who could we do this with? And they reached out about it. It was something we all love very much. I grew up playing Advance Wars myself. I played it in high school, and it was the thing to do on our lunch break with our Game Boy Advance link cable. That was just the sort of thing we enjoyed doing back then. So the moment they brought it up, my jaw hit the floor. Like, of course, yes, we'd love to help create a reimagining of Advance Wars. So that's kind of what got the project started, and it was an incredible experience. And wow, do I love hearing that. And I cannot agree more, honestly, with the people that I have worked with directly at Nintendo. The passion for games is there. The warm welcome. You guys, I can't express enough. It was so great to run into my contact at Nintendo, who I had just met back in March, and to be greeted with the biggest hug and just excitement to run into each other. And that then turned into getting to go behind closed doors with Mario Party and just meet many more people on that team. And they're all just they're so excited about games. I talked to a number of employees while we were at PAX, and some of them been there 13 years, like many years, and just love games. Like they love games. And so hearing this story of WayForward, I love a lot of their games. The one that really sticks out for me that I really like is Contra 4 on the DS. Fantastic game, like so good. Would love to see that game get put into a collection, and maybe it is, but I need to double check. I know sometimes with the whole dual screen that gets a little tricky, but we did just see the Castlevania collection come out. That was all DS games. So fingers crossed we might. I don't know that there's more than Contra 4, so I don't know that there's like a collection, but maybe Konami can throw it into something. Who knows? So would just love to get more time with that game, because it was a lot of fun. And just to hear the way that WayForward just kept things moving forward with Nintendo, and just always having that making it a great time to get together and chat games, and just keeping the relationship fresh and very genuine. So cool to hear, and just kind of love getting a little peek behind the curtain on why they were chosen to do Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. So if you are a huge fan of that game, let me know in the comments. I'm like, I need to start it. I want to play it. I'm thinking about giving, I've not spent much time with it. I have like whichever one was on the DS, but it was one of those games that I just got through my collecting throughout the years, and not something that I owned or played when it was out. So I know these are well-loved games, and I need to spend some time with them. So if you give me some encouragement in the comments, I would love it. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but Tears of the Kingdom almost had a different name. Yeah, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was almost called Tears of the Dragon. So Anuma said, letting it slip that the light dragon is Zelda, we would have had a problem. And this had an effect on the title too. One of the candidates for the title that made its end was Tears of the Dragon. But it would have been a bad idea to have the keyword dragon in the title, and we wanted to have dragon patterns in the logo, but decided otherwise. It emphasized the light dragon, after all, laughs, but nothing else good was coming to mind. And we were running out of development time. So almost called The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Dragon, but instead was called Tears of the Kingdom. And nobody judged me, but I still have not fully gotten through that game. But I am having a great time with it. I'm having a great time. Please don't judge me. Taking a look now at Twin Stick Shoot 'em Up Raiden Nova. And I'm going to go ahead and have the trailer play in the background for this one here. And this, I don't know about you guys, but when I see a Raiden game, I am taken back to the arcades in the 80s. Now, these are typically like a shmup that you're just most of the time just moving like straight up the screen and taking out enemies that are coming down at you, similar to like a 1942 or some of the games like that. Even like what was it, like a Galaga, something along those lines, right? Like some of those older school games. Well, this is a twin stick shooter. Now, this really has my attention because I love games like Geometry Wars. And as you can see, if you're watching some of this video, you can see the power-ups and stuff are absolutely insane. And so I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of fun to be had with this one. And so I'm going to be picking this one up for sure. And I love the way you power up in these games where it's like you get little guns on the side of your ship shooting in different directions, and there's just so many enemies coming your way. And so I'm looking forward to it. And I have the last Raiden game on my Switch just because it's like I love these old school games, and it looks like it's going to be coming out on Halloween. So if you are a fan of twin stick shooters, you may want to be on the lookout for Raiden Nova. Taking a look here just at the article from Nintendo Life, it says this is a space shooter in which players control a small spaceship that constantly shoots through levels of enemies and bosses from a top-down vertical scrolling perspective. Players shoot lasers, projectiles, and bombs in order to defeat enemies. Action is fast-paced with frequent light effects and bombs that result in large screen-shaking explosions. Boss battles involve more protracted combat with larger enemies and dozens of projectiles flying across the screen. And so I'm looking forward to this one. When I saw this was in the news, I was like, yo, twin stick, what does this mean exactly? Because typically it's just it's just you're just flying up the screen, but on this one you're doing a little twin stick action, which I love. I'm a huge fan of twin stick shooters, so really looking forward to this one. And looking at the date here, it looks like it's previously confirmed for an October 24th release in Japan, and I'm not sure if we have the release date. It's looking like it doesn't look like it has it says launching in Japan this October. So you may have to have a Japanese account if you want to play this one, but I may fire up my Japanese account just so I can get this. We'll just have to wait and see. It looks, looking at the tweet here, has been rated by the ESRB for PS5 and Switch. So there we go. Published by UFO Interactive, which handled the series before NIS America took over publishing for the last couple games. So it doesn't look like there's a date yet, but we can, if it's got an ESRB rating, be coming to the States. We just don't know when exactly, but it is coming in October to Japan. Continuing on here, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom details role of a longtime reoccurring character. And so, oh my goodness, scrolling this here, you can see it looks like I'm assuming here. I'm gonna read through the article, but it looks like the cemetery, the graveyard keeper. Yeah. So let's take a look at the article here. It says The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom will feature all sorts of familiar faces, and recently Nintendo detailed one of the classic reoccurring characters in the series, who's now been about over 2 decades. So warning, possible spoilers ahead. Right with the warning out of the way. Characters we're talking about here is the one and only, I think his name is Dampe, who originally got his start as the graveyard keeper in The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Since then, he's featured in multiple other Zelda titles, including the Switch remake of Link's Awakening, where he was responsible for crafting chambers. It seems Zelda's new adventure, Dampe will take on the role of an engineer who can craft automatons. These are wind-up-like creatures that can unleash their own unique effects in the game world. Here is the returning character in all of his glory. And they've got some photos here. Sorry about the sirens going by, you guys. So he looks great. He's got the big tooth sticking out the side of his mouth. And then it does show Zelda holding one of looks like an Octorok that you can wind up, and it's just kind of blowing stuff up. And then I'm looking at the photo that they have here, where there's just everything is on fire, and it looks like there's there's chaos happening thanks to thanks to Zelda here. It says, along with the Automons, Zelda can also call on the assistance of Tri, a mysterious fairy, and the Tri Rod can be used to create echoes, copies of objects, enemies, and other items located in the game environment to solve puzzles, defeat enemies, and overcome obstacles. The same item can be used to bind things together. And yeah, there is chaos happening. And guys, this game is so fun. It's such a good time. And so yeah, you guys are going to be in for a treat when you get to go hands on with this at the end of this month. It's the little bit that I played really fun. So the 26th cannot get here fast enough. Our final bit of news here. Trails in the Sky dev apparently surprised by recent Nintendo Direct reveal. And this I'm going to go ahead and play the trailer. This is actually kind of funny to me. He said he was unaware that it was coming to Switch, and so we'll read the exact quote. But this, I believe, this was shown at at the recent Direct, and again, one of the many JRPGs that are making its way to the Switch. And all of them look so good. They look. This looks really good, honestly. And it makes me just wish I had more time to play some of these titles, because they're showing both the classic version and what it looks like now. And I love seeing that. It's so great to see this world reimagined with modern graphics. And don't get me wrong, when it comes to these older games too, and seeing their like the pixel art and modern pixel art, games like Octopath Traveler and what was it, Triangle Strategy? Like, I love that as well. And even seeing what is it, Dragon Warrior, right? Is it? I may be saying the wrong name. We're seeing the HD 2D remake. I love that kind of stuff. And so, without having that game in front of me, though, I may have said the wrong name, but it has Hero from Hero on the in Smash is the game I'm talking about. So, taking a look here at the quote, it says apparently. Kondo didn't know that Nintendo planned on holding a stream on that date, nor that it would choose to reveal Trails in the Sky. The first then, if the announcement took anyone by surprise, it wasn't his intention. So, just kind of interesting that they didn't know that that they were going to be seeing that game from Nintendo when they did. So, well, this is going to do it for your Nintendo News Minute. Thank you guys so much for listening. I greatly appreciate it. And we will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.